Perfect. So morning, everybody. This is the March meeting. It's crazy enough, almost April already, which I'm looking forward to. So if we want to go around and do introductions, name and affiliation, and then what's one of your favorite spring activities? So last time we talked about what are you looking forward to in spring? And I feel like it's actually here now. Chilly this week, but it's here. So I'm Stephanie Cavino. I'm the executive director of the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. And one of my favorite spring activities, I mean, maybe a little more summer than spring, but paddling for sure. Can't wait to get back on the river. And probably most of you know, I'm a horse girl, so I always love getting out on trail rides and looking forward to it not being so muddy. So I'll pass it on to Lydia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lydia Olson, and I'm going to be speaking to you guys today. I'm the technical specialist from the Massachusetts Rivers Alliance. And so I'll say two things because the one of the things I look forward to most in the spring is lilac season. It's my absolute favorite season of the year. I always go see all the lilacs down at the Arboretum in Boston. But one of my favorite spring activities is cleaning up my yard and getting my garden ready for the summer. And my roommate and I are planning an extensive garden this year. So I'm very excited to get out there and clean up all the sticks from all the storms we've had and get the garden ready.
Nice. Thanks, Lydia. David?
Yeah, I'm David Tapscott, Uxbridge Board of Health, involved in various hemp BP projects. My favorite spring activity right now is I'm doing severe pruning of a overgrown holly tree. But in general, being able to cut back and then anticipate new growth is one of my favorite activities.
Thanks. How about Ted?
Hi, Ted Beauvais with the Blackstone River Watershed Association. I like to get out on the water and go fishing, and I was out in my canoe actually this week. Fishing wasn't that good, but it was very nice being out, and a lot of the migratory birds are back. And then I used to have a favorite activity when I lived other places, and I had property in West Virginia. I had a great patch of ramps. I don't know if you've ever eaten ramps. They're kind of in the garlic family, lily garlic family, and it's a kind of an Appalachian tradition. But I think they're around in New England. I just don't have a place to go dig them. If anybody knows where there's ramps, let me know.
I don't know if you recall on me, Stephanie, you're muted. So Adam and I'm the town planner for Auburn. Looking forward to being warm for one. I think a cold winter. I'm probably going to be starting my seeds for the vegetable garden this weekend, so getting that going. Just maybe a little fishing, just being outside would be good.
Nice. Thanks, Adam. Sorry about being muted.
It's okay.
Donna.
Donna Williams, Blackstone River Coalition and Blackstone Heritage Corridor. I have my onions. I'm looking at them now. My onions, lettuce, parsley, leeks, thyme, cabbage, and broccoli. Seedlings started, and some of them are ready to go out into the cold frame. So it's all looking pretty lush in here in the dining room under lights.
Nice. We've got a lot of gardeners. How about Peter?
Yes, Peter Kaufman with the Blackstone River Coalition and the Blackstone Headwaters Coalition. Maybe a little early, but I got my peas in, and I'm looking forward to some burning. They still allow that in Mendon. So,
Thanks, Peter. Danny?
Hi, Danny Marini King with CMRPC. Enjoy many of the activities that were already mentioned, but for something different, I used to play rugby. Now I coach it, and our season just kicked off. So excited for getting outside for that.
Nice. Heather?
Hi, Heather Perry from the Blackstone River Coalition. And one of my favorite things when it gets warmer in the spring is eating lunch outside.
That's a good one. We built a porch this year, and that was like my number one thing was, oh my God, I get to eat outside in the porch.
Yeah.
Hillary.
Betty, Hillary King, MVP Regional Coordinator. Yeah, everybody's got such great things. I guess I'll jump on the sports bandwagon and say looking forward to spring softball. But yeah, I just made a purchase from the Worcester County Conservation District for my plants. So I'm like David, planning some major cutbacks and putting in some good natives this year.
Nice, thanks. Heidi?
Good morning, everyone. Heidi Ritchie, Director of Policy and Advocacy at Mass Audubon, and I'm on the boards of Mass Rivers Alliance and the MACC, Mass Association of Conservation Commissions. So like many others, I'm excited about getting outdoors and working on getting my vegetable garden going, and also some yard cleanup. We had the top of a huge pine tree came down in a storm over the winter, but it was off in a corner where it didn't really matter, but we still have to get it out of there.
Thanks. Anya?
Hi, Anya Wolchinsky, Blackstone Heritage Corridor. Kind of on the plant front, every spring I take all of my indoor houseplants outside for a little field trip, and they all get hosed down and treated and taken care of. Some get new pots. So I'm looking forward to taking my plants on a field trip out to the deck, and my husband teasing me saying, "Are you sure you're not a plant mom?" And I'm like, "I'm sure I'm not a plant mom, but I kind of am."
I'm impressed by everyone that can keep plants alive. I cannot do that. So more power to you all. Zach?
Good morning, Zach Blaze from CMRPC. I would just say one of my favorite spring activities is being able to go eat on the deck again in the spring.
Nice. Me, you, and Heather, we can go sit on the porch together.
Yeah, it's great.
Nick?
Morning, this is Nick Cohen with the Horsley Witten Group. I'm looking forward to all the different life that pops back. I mean, we know that in the winter things are still alive, but the more visible signs of life during the spring.
Nice, thanks. Vincent, you were one of the first on the call, and for some reason you went last on my list.
That's okay. Vincent Ty, town of Shrewsbury. One of the things I look forward to in spring is just being able to walk outside again. This year, specifically looking forward to going to Quickie Chasm.
Nice, thanks. Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan at Clark University, and one of my favorite thing is when the baby fern out there. They're so alien looking and so cute.
Nice, thanks. And Patty. Patty, do you want to introduce yourself? You came just in time for introductions.
Yes, hi. Sorry about that. I just downloaded this Zoom to my phone because I'm not at home. Yes, I'm Patty McAlpine, and I'm an interested volunteer in parks person and interested in the river. Retired now, so and a poet.
Thanks, Patty.
So
all right, from here, I'll hand it over to Lydia. As she mentioned, she's the technical specialist at Mass Rivers, and I know several of you had asked about the MS4 permit and kind of what's going on with that, and also what's going on with the Residual Designation Authority and some of the other watersheds. So we invited Lydia to come speak about that.
Great, thanks, Steph. And I will just share my screen. Okay. Let's do that, and then there we go. Okay, great. Can everyone see that? Yes, awesome. Okay. So thanks for the introduction, Steph. And yeah, I'm Lydia Olson, the technical specialist from the Mass Rivers Alliance, and I am here to give you guys an update on stormwater permitting in Massachusetts. So in case you guys don't know who we are, because weirdly enough, it's a hit or miss in the Massachusetts environmental community. The Massachusetts Rivers Alliance, we are a state level organization whose mission is to protect and restore the Commonwealth's streams and rivers, and also help our member organizations work towards their common environmental goals. And one of these goals is healthy rivers for healthy communities, like the Blackstone. This is actually a picture of the Blackstone down in Lincoln, Rhode Island, because we feel that every river in Massachusetts should be clean and available for all communities to use for whatever purposes they need. Which is a big ask, because as you guys may know, a bunch of rivers across the state are very polluted due to stormwater pollution. And for example, this is the Mystic River back in 2016 with a big cyanobacteria bloom. It's from phosphorus runoff. It's very unhealthy. So what we do to restore water quality is we work on better permitting and enforcement of stormwater regulations, which I'll be talking to you about today. And then we also do public outreach, education, and technical assistance for municipalities. So this is just a brief overview for those who don't know that much about stormwater regulation. If any of you already know this stuff, I apologize, but I just wanted to do a quick recap. So stormwater regulation in Massachusetts is jointly administered by the US EPA and Mass DEP. So EPA is the main driver. They're the one that issues all the permits, like the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, or MS4 permit. There's also other things that regulate stormwater, such as the Constructional General Permit and the Multi-Sector General Permit. And then Mass DEP adds on to these regulations. So whenever someone applies for the permit under the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDES, Mass DEP also has them submit a WM15 application. So they're also registered with the state as well as EPA. And then on top of all of this, EPA can also use the Residual Designation Authority to regulate other stormwater discharges. And the EPA can use the RDA under the NPDES program for discharges that contribute to a violation of water quality standards, that are a significant contributor of pollutants to federally protected surface waters, or controls are needed for the discharge based on wastewater allocations that are part of total maximum daily loads, or TMDLs. Okay. So then, as some of you may know, the EPA used the RDA to designate commercial, industrial, and institutional properties with impervious surface of 1 or more acres in the Charles, Mystic, and Neponset watersheds are now subject to the national pollution, to the NPDES program. And this falls under the CII, the CII permit, general permit. And as you can see in this picture, this is just a map of parcels that will be regulated under RDA. And the dark ones are above 5 acres. And then there's medium purple, which is 2 to 5 acres. And then the light purple is 1 to 2. And as you can see, there's a lot of parcels in the Boston area, which is why the RDA was able to be implemented. Oops, sorry. Okay, so what is happening with the RDA and the current draft CII permit? So as a little background, in 2019 and 2020, the Charles, Mystic, and Neponset River Watershed Associations, along with the Conservation Law Foundation, petitioned the EPA to use the RDA. And then in 2022, the EPA issued the preliminary designation that the discharges that I was previously referencing are subject to the NPDES program. So then what has happened recently? So in 2024, they released the CII general permit under the RDA. That was on October 31st. So that was a very exciting Halloween for everyone. When it was originally released, comments were due in January, with public meetings scheduled for early January and public hearings scheduled for late January. What actually ended up happening under the new administration, the EPA hosted one of their public meetings and one of their public hearings. The other 2 were canceled. And then the comment period for the draft permit was extended to March 17th, which was this past Monday. And so that comment period is now closed. And Mass Rivers submitted comment letters along with all of the relevant watershed organizations, and the CLF, I believe, also submitted a comment letter. Ooh. Okay. So then going over to the MS4, which a lot of you may be more familiar with. So this picture is of all the areas where the MS4 applies. So the MS4 applies to municipal, state, and federally owned properties in urban areas of greater than 50,000 people that have stormwater infrastructure and discharge to a water of the United States, which is a term defined under the Clean Water Act. And the Blackstone, I believe, is right about there. So as you can see, a good chunk of the Blackstone watershed falls under the MS4 permit. And then what is going on with the current draft MAMS4 permit? Again, a little bit of background. The previous permit was signed April 4th of 2016. However, the release was delayed due to the first Trump administration. And we actually, us along with some other groups, had to sue to make them release it. So it became effective in 2018. And then in 2020, the EPA proposed modifications, and those were finalized in December of that year. So the current permit was also released in November of last year with comment period ending February 20th, and then the public hearing was scheduled for January 28th. So currently, again, under the current administration, the public hearing has been postponed, and there is no update on when it will be rescheduled. However, previously administratively, it was required that there needed to be a public hearing before the comment period could end. So we are operating under the assumption that the public hearing will be rescheduled, although we do not know when that will happen. Similarly to the RDA CII permit, the comment period was extended. This is until May 21st, 2025. So there is still opportunity to comment on that. So what can you guys do if you're interested in participating in the permit process? Like I said, the RDA comment period is now closed, so there is no longer opportunity to be involved in that unless there is legal action taken to force the Trump administration to release the permit if they do not. However, with the MS4 permit, because the comment period has been extended, we encourage you to attend the EPA's upcoming information meeting and public hearing when it does get rescheduled. And I can send Stephanie the link for that. I did not have that pulled up, unfortunately. And alternatively, you can also write your own public comment for the MS4 permit. You can see if any of the multitude of organizations in the Blackstone Watershed are writing letters, or you can email me for a draft letter to submit to the EPA. And then just in general, if you'd like to know more about stormwater financing and strategy, Mass Rivers will be hosting a set of workshops this fall. There will be at least one all-day session, and then we're thinking a set of online webinars to learn more about stormwater financing strategy and what's going on at the state and local level, because with the current administration, it's fairly unreliable at this point, and we don't really know what they're going to do. So we're really focusing on state and local efforts. So that was pretty pretty quick. I wanted to keep it brief because I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions. So if anyone has any questions, you are welcome to ask me.
Thanks, Lydia. So to clarify, in terms of the 2016 permit became effective 2018, modifications proposed, but because we haven't closed the comment period, we're still working under that 2016, basically? Yes.
And if the new permit does not get issued by the EPA, which is a good decent possibility at this point, the previous permit will be administratively continued. So we will still have an MS4 permit to operate under, but it will not be the new updated one, which had a lot of improvements that we were really looking forward to. So that's why we're trying to push for the new permit to be issued.
So communities are theoretically still working under the 2016 unless this is otherwise changed.
Yes, yes. And I believe discontinuing the permit entirely would involve a lot of legal issues that I'm not sure the current administration is willing to deal with, but I am not a lawyer, so do not quote me on that. That is left up to people who know much more about federal permitting than me. So, yes, Heidi.
Thanks. This is a great summary update. It's good to have these slides. So a couple questions.
Yeah.
Well, one first, DEP has been working on updating the state stormwater standards to bring them in line with the 2016 permit, which we're still waiting for those regs to be finalized, but I keep hearing it's going to be soon. They're almost done. My question is regarding that recent legal decision on San Francisco and discharges, and that permits have to specify amounts and can't include language about not contributing to violations of the water quality standards that they, and I remember there being some discussion about a provision like that in the MS4, but I don't know whether that ever got adopted in the 2016 one or is proposed in 2018.
To my knowledge, I believe that the current permits, I would have to go back and check, but I believe that both the 2016 and the 2024 have more general language. So because that decision just happened, they would need to be updated to take that into account. And I'm not sure that the EPA has the capability to do that. So unfortunately, we'll have to see where that goes and how the permits will be affected. Honestly, we're anticipating that the 2024 one just isn't going to get released, and we'll just continue to be operating under the 2016 one until the next administration change, whenever that may be.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
And if that, more general provision is in the 2016 permit, it would just be unenforceable at this point.
Right, which is unfortunate, to say the least.
So more than ever, we rely on the state.
Yes, Mass DEP stepping in to save us all. Ted?
Yeah, thanks. That was a very, very helpful presentation. I mean, you covered a lot. It was pretty quick. And I did just want to ask if you could share a little bit about the differences between the 2016 and the 2024 permits.
Yes, absolutely. So let's see. So as Heidi mentioned, the Mass DEP has been trying to bring the state stormwater standards up in line with the 2016 EPA permit. The 2024 permit does a lot more to sync up the EPA's regulations with the Mass Stormwater Handbook, which was very encouraging to see because, everyone gets confused when state regulations don't line up with federal regulations, et cetera. So that was really exciting. Also, two things of note, which don't really apply to the Blackstone, but were still exciting because there could be potential for this to happen in the Blackstone in the future. The entire Charles River watershed was placed under an MS4, even the non-urbanized areas, because to make it simpler for the towns to apply regulations over their entire municipality area, and give them a little bit more options in regards to stormwater mitigation and things like that. So that was very exciting to see. Also, the Mystic River watershed was placed under a alternative restoration plan, in regards to phosphorus, as opposed to going through the entire process of trying to get a TMDL. And it had, various requirements for phosphorus reduction and things like that as well. I can, if you want to know a more extensive list, I'm happy to send you all the things, but those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. And then I believe most of the things were just administratively, continued from the 2016. There were no those I think were the major things in the permit.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Peter.
Yes, thanks for the updates. In the town of Mendon, we have a sliver off of 140 that's in the Charles. So there might be one or two parcels there that have to do it. Will be interesting. But I'm more interested in the MS4, and I thought that in areas which are needing a TMDL for phosphorus, and arguably, I believe the Blackstone might be in that category, that there was required phosphorus control plants, which seemed to me the way that it was going, that every town had to come up with a phosphorus control plant. Is that a fair reading of the proposed regulations, or I need to get educated?
Let me think. So I don't believe the Blackstone has a phosphorus TMDL, but you guys would know more about that than me. So correct me if I'm wrong.
It doesn't have a TMDL, but it's arguably class 5, right? Needing one.
Sure, absolutely. And if, with the Mystic Alternative Restoration Plan, there is definitely potential there for lobbying for the Blackstone to get one of those as well, which is why it's exciting to see that in the new permit, although the permit probably won't be issued. So if the Blackstone might fall under, yes, state regulations for a phosphorus control plan. I would have to check on that. And then if it does, towns in the Blackstone would have to implement phosphorus control plans. But I would need to check and see what the state regulations are for the Blackstone Watershed. But those are included in the draft permit. So I would just have to go back and check. So.
And then just one more comment on TMDL. There are existing and have been for 15 years, TMDLs for phosphorus for some ponds in Worcester County in the Blackstone.
Yes.
And in my opinion, no one has ever done anything to affect that TMDL. So it just kind of sits there unenforced and unmentioned. So we need to do a better job, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Are the towns around those lakes and ponds, or I assume they're required to have phosphorus control plans under the lakes and ponds phosphorus TMDLs?
It remains to be seen what the phosphorus control plan is. No, I have not seen a specific phosphorus control. There's language that they might encourage the planning board. So I have not seen any formal.
Interesting. I mean, I could go back and check the permit requirements for towns under the lakes and ponds phosphorus TMDLs, but I believe that they have to have some sort of phosphorus control, but I would have to go back and check the permit stuff.
I was just going to interrupt for a second and say, I know that Katie Liming just joined us, so she's in the middle of this conversation and probably trying to figure out exactly what we're talking about. She's the Lakes and Ponds coordinator for the city of Worcester.
Oh, there we go.
So if you have something you want to add, Katie, feel free, but I'll just mention, I know they are working on creating 3 small watershed-based plans around different ponds in Worcester, which will hopefully lead to better management plans for those 3 bodies of water, including Quincy, Lake Quinsigamond, Indian Lake, and Tatnick Brook Coast Pond.
Yeah, I think my understanding of what Peter's comment was about ponds in Worcester County, not in Worcester City specifically. So protect or let me know if I'm wrong. So this may be kind of an aside to Peter's comment, but we are very excited to launch a project to develop watershed-based plans with the goal of reducing primarily phosphorus, but we also hope to improve loads of bacteria and subsequently improve dissolved oxygen as a result of phosphorus improvements. So again, those watershed plans are the Lake Quinsigamond, Mill Brook, so Indian Lake, and Salisbury Pond as well, a smaller pond in the city, and then Tatnook Brook, which includes several impoundments along its extent. So I'll pop in the chat a link to more information about this project on our website. We are kicking off 3 stakeholder meetings. The first one's coming up on April 2nd. Focusing on the Tatnook Brook watershed. But if anyone's interested in attending one or any of these, the content will be pretty similar across. So if you can't make one meeting, please try to make it to a different meeting, or just follow up. Feel free to email me directly with any questions. Thanks, Steph.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Sorry to put you on the spot the minute you jump on. David.
Yeah, thanks. Just this may be a naive question, but could you, Lydia, just sort of briefly describe the relationship of these permits to local governments, specifically local DPWs? And did you get any input from them in terms of all your work on this?
Yes, actually, that's a great question, and I'm going to pull up a resource real quick because I also struggled with this, and then someone sent me a very good slightly overwhelming graph. So I will warn everyone, please don't be overwhelmed, but this is very helpful. So let me just pull that up real quick. Now, where is hello? Okay. Sorry, my dual monitor system is being a little fussy. Okay. So let me reshare my screen here. Okay. So this is from a presentation that Charles River gave on the RDA. So as you can see, the font might be a bit hard to read, so let me know if I need to zoom in. But so you have the federal regulations up here under the National Pollution Discharge Elimination Program. So all of the individual permits I talked about, the Residual Designation Authority, and then the MS4 general permit. Then you jump down to the state, and then we have the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook, which Heidi mentioned, Massachusetts Integrated List of Waters, which Peter brought up, Blackstone being listed as Class 5. We also have the Wetlands Protection Act, and then some various other Massachusetts Clean Water Act regulations. And then you come down to the municipal one, which is really where you have the local stormwater bylaws, is where the municipalities come in. And that's actually because it falls, most of the stormwater responsibility does fall on the municipalities, which I'm sure most of you are aware. So this is really an area that a lot of watershed organizations are focusing on and working with local communities to strengthen their local stormwater bylaws, and local stormwater regulations. And then I know Charles River has really been working on this, and that's actually, we have someone from CRWA at our stormwater workshop in the fall talking about all the great work that they've done with their local municipalities to get them to strengthen their local stormwater bylaws and things like that. So yeah, so that's where the municipalities come into play, is through the MS4 general permit, then falls on the responsibility falls on the municipalities to implement those regulations. Is that, did I answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, I sort of thought so, but it helps to have you, point it out, outline it clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love this diagram. It's a little overwhelming, but it helps to have everything all laid out. So I'll talk to Charles River and see if I can see if I have permission to circulate this to you guys.
Okay, great.
So
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yep.
And
Heidi?
DPWs also have a response, just to hop
Oh
in.
yeah, sure.
DPWs also have a responsibility to do a lot of housekeeping measures like sweeping the
Mhm.
streets and cleaning out catch basins and maintaining,
Right.
you know, different low impact development things they already have, et cetera. So I'll leave it there and let Heidi jump in, who can probably say it better.
Oh, yeah, well, what I was gonna say is about the Housing Commission report that came out recently that included recommendations that the state eliminate the ability, the home rule authority of municipalities to have local wetlands bylaws and local wastewater treatment bylaws that are more stringent than the Wetlands Protection Act and Title V. You know, under the argument that somehow those bylaws are, you know, interfering with housing and are really, you know, they're just impediments to housing development. And the reason I mention that in this context is that I know that some local wetlands bylaws also have important stormwater provisions. You know, communities also often have a standalone stormwater thing or under a different board, but like I think Stephanie in Worcester, under the wetlands bylaw, if you're you have new impervious discharging within what 100 foot of a catch basin, you're subject to jurisdiction. So you know, I'm we still don't know exactly how this is going to get proposed in the legislature, but I'm very concerned that it's going to be slipped in as a small provision in a very big bill, and what's going to happen there. And I just want to make sure everybody's aware of this attempt to, you know, undermine home rule authority. And I can put in the chat the link to the commission report and the section of the report where this recommendation exists. So maybe at least local awareness amongst your board so that they're prepared to act when this does appear in the legislature.
Thank you. And I know we're a little past our original time here. So I kind of want to move on, but I also want to answer everybody's questions. Thank you everyone in the chat that's putting in those links. I had one quick clarifying question maybe for Judy thank you for that TMDL viewer. Do you know if communities do have phosphorus control plans for those TMDLs, or are those still in process?
You know, that I don't really know. I think that might come more under the purview of the stormwater division, because they're the regulatory agency rather than us in the watershed planning program. So I apologize that I can't answer that for you.
That's okay. We're putting you on the spot, but I feel like that's what these meetings are for, is to try and kind of hive mind and figure things out. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And actually, the MS4 staff currently is, or staff position, I should say, currently is not filled. So I can't even say talk to so-and-so and they can answer your questions, because right now there is no so-and-so.
Okay, thank you. More funding needed for DEP for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Lydia. That was really helpful to go over everything and to get folks on the same page. And again, thanks for all the notes in the chat. I'll put those in the comments, or I'll put those in the notes, and whatever you're able to share with us, we can share out to our members too.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm going to run through some of the updates that I have for you, and then I'll hand it over to you guys to share your updates. So academic partnerships, we've got a couple. One is you've heard about the Roger Williams University Marine Affairs Institute. They've worked with us before. They're currently accepting research inquiries for their Sea Grant Fellow program, summer and fall semester. So if you're interested, I think it's about $2,500. But if you have a topic that you would like them to research related to environmental law, you can contact them or let us know and we can work with them. We've had the Narragansett Bay Estuary program previously pay for 2 research interns that we've worked with, so we haven't paid anything for those. And it's possible, depending on what the nature of your question is, that they can do that again. So let me know if you're interested in that. They previously had looked at how orphan dams are managed in Mass and Rhode Island, and how communities or tribes could potentially acquire a dam in order to remove it. Answer: there's no clear pathway, and it's something we need to work on. They're also currently working on a white paper on portage requirements. So are dam owners required to allow any kind of portage around their dams? We just have a draft of this so far, but the answer is looking like no. But we're going to hopefully explore some other opportunities of what others have done and how to mimic those. Are there any, there's one other academic partnership is, I think I mentioned this before, but Bryce Dubois of New Haven, University of New Haven, has a student who is focusing her thesis on the benefits of achieving fish passage. So what would happen if we get fish passage around the lowest 4 dams on the Blackstone? What are the economic, cultural, and recreational benefits of that? So she'll be working on that over the next couple of months and hopefully have some great information, including a poster and white and kind of one pager to share with us by our spring migration parade in May, which I'll get to in 1 second. Are there any other academic updates that folks want to share? Okay. I don't have any bikeway updates. I don't know if other folks do. I know CMRPC is doing a bike summit, if that hasn't happened yet. I don't know, Zach, if you have anything about that, or Danny.
What was that? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know that CMRPC is working on hosting a bike summit. I didn't know if the Blackstone Bikeway was going to be part of that, or I'll look it up and I'll share more information in the notes. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know much about those planning efforts. Yeah.
That's okay. Donna.
I'm looking for my fake hand, but I'll use
That's okay.
my real hand. The Blackstone Heritage Corridor is working with CMRPC to do a summit in May, a bikeway greenway summit in May. So as you know, the Heritage Corridor has a campaign, community campaign fundraising, and one of the goals is to advocate for completion of the bikeway throughout, but principally the area between Millbury and Uxbridge, where there's nothing. So we recently got a wonderful donation from Sabres Bank. So Wednesday we had a photo op with the big check at the Uxbridge terminus. I don't know if you call it the terminus or the beginning, anyway, near McDonald's. And so where the whole point of the summit is to really coalesce a lot more interest in the bikeway. So we'll keep you posted as to when that's happening.
Thank you. Perfect. For fish passage, one update is that RIDEM has submitted the first one here, the Restoring Fish Passage Through Barrier Removal, to NOAA. The second one, they worked with the Narragansett Indian tribe, so they were the applicant for Restoring Tribal Priority Fish Passage Through Barrier Removal. Those are both submitted, and I think totaling about $15 million or so. The one that they're currently working on, RIDEM, is going to be submitting a third of 3 grants to NOAA for habitat restoration due in April. So altogether, it's sort of a package, and I guess this is what NOAA encourages, is submitting multiple grant applications together, not going towards the upper cap of any of them, but together, if we receive the funds, we would be able to complete construction of the vertical slot fishway going around the lowest 2 dams, and also work on the 3rd dam, which is owned by the state of Rhode Island. So that would again trigger that 4th dam, which is a hydro dam to require fish passage. So there you go, you're building one structure, but you're triggering everything so that fish are able to get to the spawning grounds in Lonsdale Marsh. So fingers crossed that this funding goes through. We'll probably won't find out until late summer, but we're really hoping that that funding remains at NOAA and is able to be dispersed. Our exciting announcement is that we have made a date for our annual fish parade. So it's going to be on Sunday, May 18th at 10:30 in the morning. And it's going to be a little bit different this year. So due to cuts in budget at the National Park Service, they typically host our event, but they're unable to host large events this year because they don't have any seasonal staff. And so we decided we're going to use this to our advantage and be creative, and we're going to go upstream to that Lonsdale Marsh, and we're going to host it on the water. So it's a floating fish parade. So it'll be at Central Falls Landing in Rhode Island, and we'll have minimal room for tabling. So that's not going to be a focus this year, unfortunately. But we'll have information about migratory species and about this restoration project. We'll do some kind of fun craft. We think we're going to do like paper fish hats so that it's something you can bring on your kayak with you. And then we will paddle together, whether you want to bring your own boat, you want to borrow a boat from the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council that is subsidizing the cost for us to provide their boats that are right there. And if you don't want to paddle, but you want to enjoy it, you can reserve a seat on the Explorer, which is a 40-passenger boat that will take people up. We'll all go together. We'll have another boat with some Indigenous drummers led by Jeff Pegram. And then we'll hang out in the marsh. We'll talk about the marsh and the restoration a little bit, listen to the drummers, and then we'll head back. The event will end around 1 p.m. So RSVP isn't open yet. We're working with our partners at BVTC to get that done, hopefully in the next week or so, and we'll share that with you. But we did put a save the date on our website, so feel free to share that out. Patty.
Yes, as you know, I'm retired from BVTC, but the last time I stopped by the office and I was talking to Bob about why they haven't been sending anybody to these collaborative meetings since I left BVTC, and he said, "Oh, well, you're still going." I said, "Yeah, but I'm retired." "Oh, well, you can still speak for us." And I'm like, okay, but I'm not in the office, so I don't know. So this was actually a nice surprise for me to see that they're partnering with you guys with this program. And if I can help as a liaison between you guys, between the tourism and the collaborative, just let me know. I do plan on visiting the office soon and talking to them about how I can help them out too with the Explorer and everything else. So, because I know that I don't know if they do have a position open for the education coordinator. So that is something, if anybody's interested in as well, to apply for, they can reach out to Natalie in the office. So, but anyway, sounds exciting. So again, whatever help you guys need, I'm familiar with the Central Falls Landing and all the partners. So however I can help with promoting this event as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Patty. Yeah, I'll have you join our next planning call, hopefully, and in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's coming along nicely. They've been a fantastic partner to help us out. It's really exciting to work with an organization that has a lot of staff. I'm not used to that, so it's kind of nice. Anything else for Fish Passage that folks want to share? Okay, so for water quality, we've had 2 CSO notifications, but one of them was just a sensor issue, so there wasn't actually any discharge. There was one on the 17th on Monday, about 2.5 million gallons of treated sewage, or treated CSO, I should say, were released. Nothing was untreated. And the next working group meeting is going to be May 13th for CSO. Also, Blackstone River Coalition, I know your annual water quality monitoring summit and volunteer appreciation event is coming up. So Kaylee put the title, but not the date. Do you guys have the date off the top of your head?
Yes, it's March 29th.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I
No
did not
problem.
catch it on the slides. March 29th from 9 to 12.
Yep.
And I'll get you that RSVP and it'll be in the notes. So we encourage you to come to that. A note also that there have been some proposed FEMA flood map updates. So if you live in Worcester and you're interested in more learning about more about what those are and how they might affect you, there are two events coming up, March 26th and April 23rd. I'll get you the link in the notes to RSVP to both of those. And just a note that we also will have both Massachusetts and Rhode Island, REMA and MEMA attending our next meeting and presenting on what the flood map changes are in both Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So if you're interested in learning more about those changes and how to be engaged in, hey, wait, this isn't right in my community, that'll be at next month's meeting. But in the meantime, you can hang out at these two in Worcester. Anything else on water quality? I don't have anything for access either. I do have an update on dam removal and restoration. So the collaborative worked with Hayward Landing, which is a private dam owner who has an apartment complex in Douglas, Massachusetts, and their consultant Ty & Bond. We submitted with them an application for about $180,000 to get to 60% design to remove these two privately owned dams that are in poor condition and significant hazard and would open up several stream channel miles in a cold water fishery habitat. And we received that funding. We were selected from the Narragansett Bay Estuary Program's Aquatic Connectivity Grant. So we're really excited about this. There were only 3 applicants that were awarded from this grant. So we're really fortunate and thankful to DEP, or sorry, to also DEP, sure, to NBEP for that grant. And we're looking forward to kick that off and hopefully remove these dams. So, you know, we're really hoping that David in Uxbridge gets your dam, your homebrew dam done first. But if for some reason it gets delayed, we're right behind you.
Okay.
And whichever of these happens first, as far as I can tell, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, but as far as I can tell, it would be the first dams removed in the entire watershed since at least the early 1900s. American Rivers keeps track of everything since 1912, and they have no record of dam removals in the watershed, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, this was interesting. I attended the field workshop there that I guess Mass ECAN through the Dam Busters program did, and the property owners, these are privately owned dams, and the property owners are all for it. And that's there's lots of there's an apartment complex right next to it and all of that, and it's really a beautiful area, and the dam, taking those dams down would enhance the whole ecology of several miles. So this is the Mumford River, major tributary to the Blackstone. So yeah, looks good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this dam you can see on the picture is actually attached to the building. So there's a lot of structural analysis that's going
Right.
into this for sure.
Right.
So we're looking forward to it.
Tiffany, do you have a bit timeline about this? Like, do you know when, like, is it gonna be a study to remove it first, or like?
So this funding is for the design. So
Uh-huh.
this will be within the next year, they'll complete the permit ready designs, and they're already, now that they know they have this, they're already exploring implementation funding for permit and removal, permit and construction. So, you know, as fast as they can is really the answer. They've been very aggressive about their timelines and trying to get this done quickly. They've been working for years. They wanted to remove these dams. So I think it depends on the permitting probably more than anything, and obviously some funding.
Yeah, and the local government is right in there with this also. They've been lobbying for this in various ways for years, because there's a lot of resistance to abutters to the upstream especially, and so yeah, I mean, there are issues that have to be dealt with on a very local specific level. So it's always helpful to have local government on board, which they are.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else on dam removal? David, I don't know if you want to share anything.
Yeah, just to alert people, we've got a proposal going to our local government on Monday to revive the removal of a small dam on town property, which is near a municipal well. And it was turned down a couple of years ago, and we're reviving it. And with an eye towards making the whole project of dam removal sort of a showcase. It's fairly clean in the sense that there aren't any property or legal issues. The permitting has all been done and the design has all been done. So it's a question of getting funding for the construction. But we wanted to include a whole program to involve the whole community in community-wide education and getting some citizen science programs going through the high school. And I talked to the the Council on Aging person yesterday and want to get seniors involved as citizen scientists also. And I want to do a shout out to Heather and Joanne from the Blackstone River Watershed Association, and Ted, you're famous in Uxbridge because your group has been doing education in the local schools for years, and they know you. So it helps to establish legendary status, and to use stuff for you know sort of stepping up to help us and be a partner with these presentations. So we're going to be partnering with the Blackstone Watershed Coalition, collaborative with BRWA and with the Uxbridge High School and the Uxbridge Senior Center. And in my estimation, the select board can't turn this down. They would anyway, we'll let you know.
Small communities don't require match, which is really exciting as well for this grant.
Right.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, David. Looking forward to an update. We've been very busy. We submitted three actually grant applications coming up. So we submitted one to the EEA Environmental Justice Capacity Building Grant. So that was a state grant to that is interesting that it makes you spend a lot of money in a very short period of time, but we're hoping to use it for some technical assistance requests to fund our time, but also to fund some new software to help us manage grants and manage all of our different requirements for those grants, as well as a consultant to help us with some organizational policies and employee handbook, all the policies that we're supposed to have. And we kind of like skim by with maybe sort of having, but not really. We'd like to be more intentional about that, as well as a small grassroots fund grow grant. And we were invited to apply to an anonymous foundation that has previously funded us to hire a grant manager. So they are looking to hire, they would provide half of the funding for a grant manager for 2 years, so half of their salary over 2 years. And we're really excited about that. So we're going to be exploring some additional funds to be able to match that. That won't go through until October, but we're very excited to hopefully be bringing on a grant manager in the fall. We are in dire need of that, considering all the grants that we have ourselves and that we are managing for other organizations. So fingers crossed. So I'll stop talking now, and I can hand it over to you guys if you have updates that you want to share.
Yeah, Stephanie and others, there's the Family Fun Fishing Day that we, the Blackstone River Watershed Association, along with DCR and Fish and Wildlife and Open Sky Community Foundation and their programs, we have done that it's coming up on this 10th anniversary. The time there, the end time is actually 1 p.m. and there's prizes handed out typically at 1:10 or 1:15. And we invited Tom O'Shea, the Fish and Game Commissioner from Massachusetts, to attend. And he says he's going to. So we're looking forward to having him there. The first of these events 10 years ago, the Fish and Game Commissioner was present. So this is a good opportunity for him to make an appearance and provide some support. And as you're all aware, any programs associated with accessibility are under some pressure at the federal level. And we continue, and all our partners continue to want to emphasize this. This is for people of all abilities. Children and people with disabilities obviously included and invited. That's part of what Open Sky does is their mission. And it's a good event, and it'd be a lot of fun. So I hope people can make it to that. If you want to participate, there is a pre-registration. If you want to volunteer, there's also some opportunities, and those are included in this posting on the screen.
Thank you. And I'll fix that in the notes. Sorry about the 12 versus 1. Heidi?
Thanks. I just wanted to give an update on the state's effort on wetlands and waterways permit streamlining, and also on the streamlining legislation. So the first meeting of the Streamlining Initiative External Stakeholder Group took place on February 26th. We have lots of good people on there who were speaking up about restoration. This group also represents other interests like home builders and MassDOT, et cetera. So there was some of that. The concern is that they were asking for a lot of input kind of down in the weeds on permits, like, can we improve clarity around where the different categories of resource areas are, how they're delineated? Can we improve the application form? They didn't do any context of here's the goals and objectives of the initiative, here's what we're trying to achieve, any kind of broader input. So I provided some of that by follow-up. I know a couple other people did. They also asked for case studies of projects that had encountered permitting hurdles. So we got a few of those on dam removal projects. And I'm still looking for more information. So we're going to be doing a big campaign on this here, trying to streamline all restoration. Stay tuned. I may have like a form for people to fill out and provide input, but I want to make sure I coordinate with Mass Rivers because I know they're also surveying people and I don't want to duplicate what they're doing. So on the legislation, there's another meeting next week, so it goes on for a few more months. On the legislation, we have an updated fact sheet and section by section description of the wetlands restoration streamlining legislation. I sent that, Stephanie, to you and to Kaylee this morning, maybe some way to distribute that. It will be up on our website, but it's not there yet. So, and we are also, the first part of the bill would carve out some Chapter 91 exemptions for coastal restoration, but we are now thinking the more we hear about like dam removal projects and the issues they're encountering with Chapter 91, we are probably going to try to amend that as it goes through the process, friendly amendment to include inland projects. We're hearing about like small headwater dam removals where DEP is taking jurisdiction and saying you need a Chapter 91 license to remove the dam, which makes no sense to me. I mean, I can see if it's a big dam and there's a big impoundment with people have docks and they're doing a lot of boating, maybe there's some nexus there with the navigation interests under the waterways program. But for these smaller dams, there's one example that was submitted, it's like a way headwater, unnamed tributary up in the Berkshires. The stream is small enough that you can jump over it, and it's never more than a foot deep. And they're trying to call it a navigable waterway and requiring a license to remove the structure, which, then why do you even need a license on something that's not there anymore? So that's some of what I'm dealing with on the legislative front and the regulatory front.
I'm glad it's you and not me, Heidi. Thank you.
But we have lots of people interested in this. We had the restoration workshops at the MACC conference. We're all standing room only. We ran out of copies of our fact sheet on the bill. So we're going to be figuring out how to organize people. One idea I wanted to bounce off folks is to create like a form, not really a petition, but a signing on to a statement like I support wetlands restoration streamlining, and have people like a drop-down menu, different categories, individual, organization, municipal official. And that way we could like kind of compile how many people are interested in this and use that in the lobbying. It just seemed
Yeah,
like
that sounds great. I'm probably not going to be the one to lead that.
Oh no,
I'm happy to help with it.
Yeah, we would do that. I just wanted to see if folks might be interested, like in circulating it, if we did something like that.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, this dam I was just talking about, this little one, we had to go through a Chapter 91 permitting, and it was just one of many, but And it didn't get in the way, unfortunately, but I can see how it was sort of totally redundant.
Right, redundant, and you have to do different plan forms, and it has to be signed by the governor, and it has to be recorded on the deed. And why are you recording a license on a deed when there's not going to be a structure there anymore? Nobody's going to remember in the future why this even exists on the deed. It's just kind of crazy. So.
Crazy, yeah. Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah, thanks. Heather?
Hi, so thank you for the announcement of our Water Quality Summit and volunteer recognition on March 29th, and the public's welcome to that. We'll have some speakers. Our keynote speaker is Dr. William Subject from the College of the Holy Cross, and he's going to be speaking about urban streams and his work in Worcester, and I believe focusing on Cook's Pond. So that's happening on March 29th. And then we start our water quality monitoring. April 12th is our first day. And we're still looking for some more volunteers kind of in the headwaters area. If anybody, and I know people have been circulating it because I got a couple WPI students that volunteered. So thank you for everybody that's circulating that. We could use a few more if anybody else is interested in volunteering. It's once a month, the second Saturday of every month, in the morning. And I know we have some volunteers already on the call, so I appreciate all of you doing that. And yeah, we're just really looking forward. We're very lucky to get a DEP water quality monitoring grant this year, so that's helping with our annual water quality. Plus, we're going to be able to add some bacteria sampling in Lake Quinsigamond, or Coal Mine Brook, which goes into Lake Quinsigamond. So getting all that up and ready and going. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
And congratulations again, that grant, really exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hillary, for putting that in the chat. We've been talking to a lot of communities about that MVP Action Grant RFP that is open right now. I know several applications will be coming in from the Blackstone, so we're really excited to see that representation from our watershed. Peter?
Yes, I was getting all geared up because John Marsland from the Watershed Council had sent out a notice that there was an application for another hydro plant on the Manville Dam, and the comments had to be like next week.
Tomorrow.
I'm a little more reassured in that I'm not sure that they have the go-ahead from the owner of the dam, but they're out there. And so it's the same company that installed the Archimedes grant in Albion and has got one going in Ashton, or seeking one. So if you have a dam, I guess anybody can ask to put a turbine on it and get the owner's permission later, maybe.
Yeah, so they're actually pursuing a hydro application on Elizabeth Webbing Dam, which is owned by the state of Rhode Island and was purchased by the state in order to create fish passage and to lower the dam. And they still have a hydro applicant who's pursuing using old equipment that the state is intending to remove for hydro. So, and the state has said very clearly, you don't have access to our dam. We're not going to grant you access. You don't have any easements. You're not getting this. And they're still looking to do it and trying to pursue any legal avenue possible. So we think that there's a need to have a conversation with the state, in particular in Rhode Island, about the green energy incentives, because they seem to be accidentally over incentivizing hydropower in this like tiny little mini hydro production, having all of these really large impacts on an area where people don't want to see it, is still it's causing a lot of frustration and challenge. I know in the town of Cumberland, where the Manville Dam is located, they just voted this week, the select board voted to not allow hydro on their dam, which may stop them and may not. Again, these a lot of these hydropower companies that have a lot of attorneys that can pursue various legal action that we're not anticipating, but we'll see what happens there. And if you want to submit a comment letter, I think it's due tomorrow for Manville. I forgot to also mention that the Greater Worcester Land Trust is having their annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival coming up on March 28th. So Friday night, you can hang out with us and do the Wild and Scenic Festival. And then Saturday morning, you can hang out with us at the BRC Water Quality Monitoring Summit. It'll be a busy weekend. So we'll be there and we'll be talking about our pursuing the Wild and Scenic designation for the Blackstone. We'll be sharing information on that and answer any questions. So that should be fun. And also, I know, Peter, you mentioned BRWC. So Friends of the Blackstone, they're having a spring cleanup at Granite Park on April 19th. And they're also offering a $15 an hour gift card for any volunteers that help out. So that's kind of fun. You can RSVP. I'll send you the link. And the Mass Nonprofit Network, which we're a part of, has asked if any Massachusetts nonprofits have been impacted by the federal government and pausing of grants and losing funding. And so they're asking folks to complete a survey and share that information. And we already shared this about Worcester's Blue Space meetings that are coming up for those watershed-based plans that are being created. Other updates that folks have? Anything else? Okay.
Stephanie, it's Patty. I just posted something that I came across. Resistance Rangers is hosting another rally, and locally it will be at Roger Williams National Memorial to support our public lands. It's going to be like a teach-in, so if you want to show up, it's at 12 outside at the, I forget the area now, but I put it on my calendar, even though I'm not sure if I'll make it because I already have a ballet date that same day, but I just thought I would share that. You know, this whole what's happening in administration, they recommend trying to hone in on one specific area that you are, you know, passionate about. So I've decided to focus in on supporting our national parks and public lands so I don't get too overwhelmed with everything that's going on. So
yeah.
Anyway, so
doesn't
that's
like national parks. How can you not like having people access our public lands, right?
I know. But anyway, so I just
Thanks,
thought it's
Patty.
in the chat, you know, the date and time.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks like tomorrow at noon. So as a reminder, our next meeting is April 18th, and we're going to have, again, two speakers, Morgan Riley from Massachusetts. I'm going to get this right, hopefully. Morgan Riley is the state floodplain coordinator in Rhode Island, sorry. She'll be speaking with Nadia Madden, who's the floodplain management specialist in Mass. And they'll be talking about what's going on with floodplain mapping changes in the Blackstone Watershed, how you can get involved, and also just answer any questions that you might have about floodplain regulation around your communities. So stay tuned for that. We're looking forward to having them, and we will see you next month. All right, take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Stephanie. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.